Hi everyone, thank you for your patience. There has been a glitch and hopefully we have fixed it. All good now. So welcome back to Deal Street Asia's Indonesia PE/VC Virtual Summit 2022 and the last Fireside Chat with Stefanus Ade Hadiwidjaja, the CIO of Indonesia Investment Authority, known as INA. So my name is Tabitha Diela. I'm the Indonesia correspondent for Deal Street Asia. In this session, we will discuss how Indonesia's new SWF will balance infrastructure and tech investment. So, I believe many of you, Deal Street Asia readers and friends, have already knew Pak Stefanus well, especially when he was with private equity firm Creador before this. And Pak Stefanus obtained his MBA from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania and a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from Universitas Pelita Harapan. Hello, Pak. How are you?
Hi, Tabitha. I'm good.
Thank you for making your time here. It's good to see Indonesia is opening up again, right?
Yes. We are all very excited about this.
Yep, and we're excited to see investment coming in. So let me begin by asking you to take us through the broad thinking behind the setting of the Indonesian SWF and the journey so far. We've noticed it has been more than a year. How do you assess the progress in terms of investment coming in, pace of development, and what are the targets, at least for this year?
Sure, Tabitha. So let me start with the first part of your questions about the thinking behind the Indonesia Sovereign Wealth Fund. So broadly, we have three mandates, right? First is obviously to deliver the commercial return. So we have capital to be invested. We have to deliver a commercial return. Second, by having this investment, we hope to be able to stimulate the economic development and social development in Indonesia. And thirdly, which is very important, is by having INA here, we can bring in more foreign direct investment to co-invest together with INA. So I think these are the three broad mandates of INA and really the ideas why we are being set up a year ago, right? By having INA as a credible local partner, we hope that more and more global investors, and of course also the local investor, be more excited about investing in Indonesia in private markets, in private deals, right? In many different sectors that I can share with you later. So I think that's in general the goals of INA. And yes, we have been seated with $5 billion capital, right? $2 billion in the form of cash, $3 billion in the terms of share injections of two of the largest SOE banks as INA's capital, right? And about the progress itself, I think in the past 1 year, we have worked very hard. We have made quite a bit of progress. First, back to the mandates number 3 about improving or excite more global investors to invest in Indonesia. And so far, I think we are quite proud that we have made a couple of really large and strategic commitment by among the largest investors in the world. So far, I think the commitment that we have signed amount to around 22 billion US dollar. This is quite commendable, slightly more than 300 trillion rupiah. For example, some of the commitment is a $10 billion commitment from the government of UAE, and that's will be managed through one of their sovereign wealth fund, Abu Dhabi Growth Fund. And in fact, if you read in the news, this week there's a visit by the UAE delegation led by His Excellency Minister Suhail. We have a lot of discussion to keep strengthening this relationship with UAE, and even there's possibility more commitment from UAE. That's one. We also signed a sizable consortium with CDPQ Canada, APG, as well as ADIA in the toll road sectors, amounted to 3.75 billion. We have also signed a commitment of $7.5 billion by Dubai Port World, one of the largest port company in the world, to invest in multiple ports in Indonesia, as well as the development of the area surrounding the ports of Indonesia, which is very, very strategic commitment. And I think we already start see the result of this commitment. We did our first deals together with some of these funds. We did investment of around $800 million, close to 12 trillion rupiah in Mitratel, the largest telco tower in Indonesia, end of last year. This investment is with ADIA, GIC, and Abu Dhabi Growth Fund. So this is a sector that one of our key focus, which is digital infrastructure, right? And that's on the what I call as the output, right? Obviously, this is really only the start. I think 2022 will be. I'm very sure there will be much more deals that we can close together, given the massive commitment that we have accumulated so far. But on top of that, we have done a lot of work in setting up the organization, setting up the governance structure, the system, the process, and so on, right? And in parallel, currently we are working on more than 20 deals that hopefully we can close few more this year. So yeah, that's some of the example of our progress, Tabitha. Thank you.
20 more deals. That's really great. So talking about commitment to invest in various infrastructure projects, while the core mandate for INA or INA has been to invest in infrastructure, natural resources to support national strategic developments, the fund is also, like you said, keenly watching the opportunities unfolding in the technology sector, thanks to the accelerated digitalization trend. My first question for you is, could you give us a sense of what kind of subsectors in the digital space that are of interest to the fund? And the second one is, does that signal a shift in investment strategy from the fund's original mandate when it was first set up, or it has always been future-proof?
Okay, sure. Probably just a quick answer to your question number two. There is no shift on the focus since the beginning. You know that we will definitely help the digitalization in Indonesia, right? Part of our key mandates, right? But more importantly is, where will we invest in digital in Indonesia, right? And the way we see digital is really end to end, right? A lot of us knows about digital is more from the digital ecosystem part, right? Where obviously very exciting with a lot of unicorns coming out in the past few years. We will invest also in this space. I'll share more later. But equally important for us is to invest more on the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, right? And as you know, right, the data growth driven by all this exponential growth in digitalization has been astonishing in the past few years, right? And it all has to be supported, right? That's why I'm saying that it's equally important, right? When we talk about digital infrastructure, we're talking about, you know, the telco tower that we just did an investment with ADIA and GIC. We're talking about data center. We're talking about fiber and so on, right? So that subsector and the subsectors is one of our key focus, right? But again, we want to invest end to end. We will also invest in the digital ecosystem to play also the role to create more and more unicorns from Indonesia. We have a big belief of the talents, the world-class entrepreneurs that we have in Indonesia, and the big market and opportunity in digitalization in the next 5 to 10 years. So these are also an area that we will be investing. So yeah, and just if we step back, I guess this is the whole digital space is only one pillar or one of the key sectors that we'll be focusing in the next few years, right? When we define our focus, it's a combination of First, still the transportation infrastructure and logistic, which include the toll road that I have mentioned, the seaport, the airport, and so on, warehousing, and I think that's a very big part. That's the core infrastructure that we have to keep developing, right? Second is the digital space that I have explained. Third is healthcare. We are also exploring investing in renewable and potentially in few other area like food and agriculture, tourism, and financial services. So these are some of our key sector focus. And given our capital size and the mandate that we have to really, expand ourselves to invest in multiple sectors, right? We really want through this investment and the co-investment by really the best global or local investor to co-invest with us. Hopefully, we can not only, deploy the capital, but we always call it the smart capital. We want to deploy a smart capital that can help the asset to be even better, right? So when the time we exit, it's a win-win for everyone, for us as the investor, for our partners, as well as for the asset itself, which eventually will be part of the driver to achieve our second mandate, which is stimulating the economic and social development in Indonesia.
Great. Like you said, Indonesia has been home for many unicorns, and Pak Erick, our Minister of State-Owned Enterprises, is keen on having Merah Putih Fund to back unicorns. Does that mean INA and Merah Putih Fund could potentially look at the similar deal pipelines? Do you see co-investment opportunities arising in tech investment space?
Yeah. So if we step back, I think we all heard about this Merah Putih Fund. So let me explain it a little bit. First is the initiative from the Minister of State-Owned Enterprise, and this is the vision of our Minister Pak Erick Thohir, right? So this is the initiative from the State-Owned Enterprise to set up a digital fund to support the next unicorn, or they call it the Sunicorn, right? INA will definitely support this, but not as the GP. We will be the limited partner. We'll invest in Merah Putih Fund as a limited partner, right? And then from INA itself, we want to explore investing in tech space in multiple ways, right? We can invest directly in an asset, and we don't have to compete, right? We can co-invest together, right? It will make the collaboration between INA and the Merah Putih Fund become even stronger, right? And then we can help each other doing the due diligence together and so on, right? And but Merah Putih Fund, they also have a limit of investment in terms of the valuation of the company, but INA might be more flexible in terms of the size of the company. Probably we won't investing in series pre-series A or series A, but we can invest in a more established company and so on. So there might be some overlap, but the thing is we can probably go investing in even in bigger company, even at the unicorn stage we can invest. So the key point is Merah Putih is the vision of the Pak Erick Thohir. We are fully supportive. In this case, we'll be the limited partner as part of the investor. And hopefully, we are very excited to collaborate together with Merah Putih Fund to, let's say, co-invest together, because INA can invest directly to the asset as well.
Mm-hmm. As an LP, how much INA will invest in Merah Putih Fund?
We have not decided. We're still in discussion with them.
Mm-hmm. How far along the discussion has been, Pak?
I think still since end of last year. I think they are still finalizing the structure, the GP structure, and we'll continue discussion after they form the fund. Right. I think the first few LPA is pretty much will come from the few large state-owned enterprise, and we'll join after that.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned investing in later stage of unicorns and startups. about taking part in digital ecosystem and talking about prudence and how part of your first deployment was Mitratel IPO. Are you open to join another upcoming blockbuster IPO in tech in Indonesia? Or do you think Bukalapak's IPO has been a cautionary tale and something that must be avoided by INA?
No, we always have an open-minded, right? We review its investment independently, right? Obviously, we as the private investor, ideally we invest during the pre-IPO, right? During the private stage, but we can be quite flexible, right? Depending on the type of asset, and we definitely very open to invest in any other next big IPO, and we will assess its investment independently, right? And we as an investment firm, we are very prudent. We follow the international standards on the due diligence, ranging from the financial, tax, legality, even to the ESG due diligence, right? And the thing is, as part of our mandate, we have to co-invest with the globally reputable investor, right? So the way we work is and should always be in the same mode with them, right? And if you review the team that we have in INA at this moment, most of us also come from either international investment firm, investment banking, consulting, and so on. So we have a very thorough procedure when assessing an opportunity, and we always be prudent. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about the prudential investing principle at the center of your strategy, could you take us through how this translates into the kind of deals you evaluate and the due diligence framework you follow? Would the fund would also be guided by ESG investing principles?
Of course, yeah, it's a very important pillar for us. If you browse in our website, we put a few of our principles there, right? And just to give example, right? Not only we have our policy internally about ESG, but in all of the due diligence, it is a mandatory that all the investment opportunity to pass the ESG due diligence, right? Obviously, we have to be practical, right? What important for us is not only the investment opportunity already tick all the boxes within the ESG principle, right? And in reality, there probably something that can be improved and so on, right? But the key things have to be there, right? And for us, we see ESG not only in the stagnant mode, right? Like when we invest, for us is also keep monitoring, which is, I think that's a big part of our value add, right? Keep monitoring them, how they apply the ESG principle going forward. So more and more, the asset, the company will be better from the point of view of ESG.
Right. Let's go back to sovereign wealth fund as a big picture. Indonesia has set up its SWF much later than the other Asian nations. What are the learnings and best practices that the INA would look at adopting? What makes INA stand out, and how will it operate differently than the others?
I think our model will be quite different. There's a lot of similarity in terms of the type of the people that we hire, the government structure, the system, the process. There will be a lot of similarity, and we do learn a lot from them, and we'll keep learning from all these globally renowned sovereign wealth fund. Right? In fact, we have made a very close relationship with some of them. But we are unique, right? Because we know that Indonesia is not a surplus country like all the names that you mentioned, like Singapore or the UAE, Saudi, Norwegian. They have very large sovereign wealth fund because they have they are a surplus country, right? We have a capital, which is also is a large injection by the government, But our goal is unique because we want to bring in capital to co-invest with us to Indonesia. So that's one key difference. While for the other sovereign wealth fund, they don't need to bring in the partner because they already have a massive capital size, right? Second, I think it's also important for us to differentiate, at least in the first few years, to invest mainly in Indonesia, because that's the goal, right? Well, if you see this global sovereign wealth fund, they pretty much invest globally, right? For them, that's part of their mandates, right? For us, the main focus, almost all the investment is in Indonesia. We can opportunistically invest outside Indonesia, but it has to answer or to tick two boxes at least. First, it has to deliver really a good returns, and second, there's a strategic angle from that investment that will benefit Indonesia or will benefit our portfolio in Indonesia, right? But that will be a very small portion. So I think these are some of the key differences between us and the other sovereign wealth fund.
Okay, so INA will eventually follow the strategy to invest overseas assets.
Very, very, very small portion.
Very small
and that,
portion.
as I mentioned, it has to tick two boxes: excellent return, and there's a strategic angle for Indonesia. It will benefit Indonesia. Let's say we invest in healthcare technology in US. But then we can get the benefit. We can bring in the technology to Indonesia. That's one example. Or benefit the portfolio of INA.
All right. Before we continue to my question, let's see if we have any question from the audience. If not, then let's continue. So on the infrastructure side, INA formed a consortium with CDPQ, APG Asset Management, and IDA subsidiary, like you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, apart from entering into a strategic alliance with DP World as well. Is there any updates on this consortium that you would like to share? Are you also in talks to raise more capital from other global SWFs and institutional investors?
I think the progress is good. We are currently in the process of full due diligence of few of the key assets in toll roads that we have identified. So we have reviewed more than 30 toll road sections, and then now we have picked few for us to invest, a sizable opportunity. And if this happen, this could be one of the largest toll road transaction in this region. So, but we are still in the due diligence process. And about raising fund from other sovereign wealth fund, for sure, right? That's as I mentioned earlier, that is our very important mandates, right? And then there are so many different projects, right? Even in the toll road itself, we might still need to fundraise further, right? And as I mentioned in the beginning, from the commitment itself, 22 billion is already there for us to deploy, right? Now, I think the focus is more on the deployment mode. I think on the commitment side, we actually have, even more demand outside what we have signed so far, right? So it's not an issue about on the commitment from global investors. I think with what happened lately in the world, Indonesia is still the jewel. The demand, the appetite on Indonesia is still very, very high, right? From many different investors from many different countries.
Okay, we are closing to the ending part of our conversation, but let me ask you, what do you think INA will be remembered for?
You mean, sorry, say it again.
What do you think INA will be remembered for?
what INE will be remembered for.
Yes, correct.
It back to our mandates. We really want INE to be remembered as a catalyst of the economic and social development in Indonesia, to contribute through the form of investment, to the form of the right capital allocation, and to play a role not only to deploy the capital, but to deploy the smart capital together with the globally reputable investors. And this is not the work of only 2, 3, 4 years from now, but it has to be going on in the long run, forever, right? So I think when people are hear about INE, we want them to have the trust about that we are the right partners to invest in Indonesia. We have the right capability. We have the right knowledge to know where to allocate the capital in this market. Right? So that's a big dream, but yeah, we start small.
Yeah, and we count you on that. Pak Stefanus, we have a question from the member of the audience. If you are kindly answer this question, let me read it. What kind of LP commitments is INA looking to make in Merah Putih Fund?
What do you mean, LP commitment?
What kind of LP commitments in INA you are looking to make in Merah Putih Fund?
The size of commitment I cannot share at this moment, right? But the commitment is the capital. I mean, as a limited partner, we will not run the fund because Pak Erick Thohir has assigned the right GP to run the funds. Our commitment is the capital. The size, we are still in discussion with them.
All right. So you've been working in so many projects in the past year, and you started in the background of pandemic. Do you see significant problems having to operate on that kind of background?
Under the pandemic situation?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, I think it's fine. I think people adapt. And I mean, the most important thing is that we are really, I'm very sure we are really at the end of it, right? And then you can see in the traffic is back and so on, right? But even during that time, we survive, we adapt, we are still being productive. And thank you with the progress of the digitalization, right? Definitely helped during this pandemic. And what really surprised me is the amount of the investment, the appetite doesn't change at all, right? In fact, I guess 2021 is a record year for many kind of investment in different kind of asset class, right? The money coming in Indonesia in technology, the capital market, the equity capital market is fantastic in 2021. So yeah, I think we adapt.
Yeah, it's all the record making last year, despite all the condition. Okay, Pak Stefanus, we need to close the session. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for sharing all the details about the Indonesia SWF. And thank you to our audience and lovely question. So see you again, and keep healthy, be safe.
Thank you,
Pak Stefanus.
Tabitha. Thank you, District Asia.